Okay, we're moving on to common mistake number 2. The team appears to not have what it takes. Example that I see often. A guy says, our company is going to grow from here to here, and I've teamed up with this guy. And I look at this guy, and who's this guy? This guy is Johnny, starts a lot of businesses, hasn't had any success. Here we go again. Mm-hmm. The partner is, well, that's my brother. Maybe nothing wrong with your brother, but maybe there's some, when we look at a team that doesn't appear to have what it takes, what does that mean in your mind if someone doesn't have what it takes? What kind of things indicate they have the wrong team?
So I think technicians, a great example, there's a book out there called The E-Myth. Michael Gerber wrote it. And he tells this story throughout the book about a baker, a woman who has technical experience in baking. And because she loves baking, she wants to open a bakery so she can bake all day long. The reality is, as the entrepreneur, you're often not the one sitting there getting to bake all day long, right? You're dealing with inventory, your cost of goods, you're dealing with operational issues and finance and accounting and marketing and sales and all the things that are not related to what you love. So I think the first thing we do is assess, does this person have the technical expertise in the areas that we expect them to play in their role? Okay, so that's one thing. The other is just simply is the team around them shown a pattern for success, even if it's in unrelated industries. And one of the ways that you can actually supplement that risk is by hiring. So one of the things that we tell people if they're looking to open a restaurant, whether it's a franchise or not, somebody on their team has to have restaurant management experience in order for a lender to take them seriously. So even though they may not be a founding partner, you can hire in that expertise to supplement the risk.
This is a really big idea here, and I want to dive into this just for a minute here. Let's say that I'm watching this, and I have a really great technical skill. So let's go with the bakery example. I can just bake like you wouldn't believe. I've got processes. I have systems. I can teach you to bake too. I mean, I can hire you, and in a week from now, you're baking like I bake. I mean, we've got a system. It's great product. And I go, none of us have opened up multiple locations. No one on our team has that. So you're saying that I can go out there and find somebody who does have the skill and just hire them, bring them on, kind of grow through acquisition, and now my team looks better when I present my business plan.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the initial team doesn't necessarily mean the founding team.
Okay. Now, the next most common mistake we see, mistake number 3, is solving a problem that the world isn't willing to pay to solve. So they have a product where you're like, whoa, what is that product? Can you maybe, I mean, I don't want to mention specific people because obviously confidentiality, but have you seen some business plans where you go, I don't know if people actually would pay for that?
Yeah, I mean, we see that all the time. So one of the things that I do is I invest in a lot of startups personally, right, as an angel investor. And oftentimes people come with a plan where they've got the greatest idea, and I actually believe it's a great idea. But the right product at the wrong time is still the wrong product. And I see that all the time where I see someone, they've got a great idea and we think it's got potential, but the market's not yet ready, or the market isn't large enough, or hasn't developed to a place where we know. So oftentimes what we'll tell people is to go back and validate some of their assumptions. Do a small test.
Okay.
Take something to market and see how the market responds to it.
When you have, let's say that somebody has great feedback at an early stage. So let's give an example. They come to you with the idea and you say, no, good product, wrong time. Because you want to make money on your investments, obviously. So you say, not right now. Guy comes back a year later with now 1,000 customers that love the product. Here's the screaming reviews. Here's the actual reviews.
Yeah.
I want to scale it.
Yep.
Will you look at it again and have with a different set of eyes?
All day long, and in fact, I'll pay a multiple on what they asked originally because of it.
Really?
So somebody who comes to us pre-revenue and says, hey, I have this idea, and we say, you know what? We're not ready to take that risk with you. Go validate that market. They come back a year later and they've demonstrated significant success or traction.
Yeah.
The value of that business is greater than when it was a concept.
Really?
And that's okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So if you're watching this and you've been told your idea wasn't a great idea right now or no, it doesn't mean no forever. It just means come back maybe later with more proof that your product's something that people will pay for.
Absolutely.
Now moving on to the common mistake number 4. The supporting research is weak. Now I see this a lot where you see an entrepreneur comes in, they say 80% of Americans surveyed say they want this. And you're like, well, where did this survey occur? Who did the survey? Well, some dudes and I. Yeah. Do you see a lot of times where you see poor research that's justifying the need for something? Is this common?
All day long. But the problem that we run into, though, is we're in an age of transparency, right?
Yeah.
You Google something, you can find information. That helps you present a good case, but it also helps you discredit bad information, right? So it's a double-edged sword. We see people come in all the time that are asserting data based on a survey that they did. Surveys from your own work is going to be perceived with different credibility than a third party, who has more objective perspective. So yeah, I think the market research is very important because it helps an investor or a lending institution determine the market size, the opportunity, and validate the business opportunity itself.